And we are live. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 27th of September, 2023. I'm joined here by my fellow Node.js TSC member from all around the globe this time, or even the other times, but this time more than usual. And thank you all for joining from all continents. And we're also joined today by Livia Medeiros as a guest to discuss one of the issues. And that's it. I have one announcement to make. I would say there is, if you plan to come to NodeConf EU, I have a specific discount code for collaborators. Ping me to have it. So if you need to buy the ticket, please let me know and I'll give the discount code to you.
I have another announcement. We have a proposal. It's still a draft for Node.js 21. So it's still blocked by a few issues, but if you want to land any server measures, I think you have a week maximum or less.
Great. Amazing. Cool. Anything, any other announcements? Cool. No announcements as of yet. Amazing to see. And CPC and board meeting. I have some updates from the board. So as you remember, there was the question related to the Blue Oak license. And currently, that is the board need to schedule a legal counsel meeting, but right now it's still in limbo in that sense, but it doesn't tell us to remove the dependency, essentially. So it's we have a little bit of grace time, okay? The outcome essentially would be hopefully to allow that license, essentially. And or we do and anyway we plan to apply for OSI compliance, but to add as a list to put the license in OSI. The reason why that discussion was stopped before was because it has only minor usage. Now it's been used it's in software, open source software that is used by millions of people, millions of developers. So actually it's probably better if it's in the list or not, but then have clarity at least. So in the board planning to be in the OSI list, currently on the member legal council table. Okay, great. Now we can move to Node.js admin issue 49. Sorry, it's not Node.js admin, but it's Node.js node.
Okay, Matteo, could we start with the issue that Livia is here for? Do you mind?
Sorry, was a okay. Sorry, there
Could
was Yagitha
with...
raised a hand. Sorry, it needs to be just a second. I need to promote him. Okay, perfect. And yes, let's start with that. What is the issue? Sorry, I'm the Node.js node one, right?
I think I just added it. It's 49531.
Okay, perfect. Right? So we are here. So let's start with issue 49531 of Node.js node. It's about support ES modules without extension within module scope. And I don't know, looking at the end of it. And I think there is some disagreement between Geoffrey and Livia, as far as I guess. I don't know, Livia, you want to discuss it, or Geoffrey? I don't know who of you wants to start. I can start. Go ahead.
So for
Livia,
books,
I see you're texting. Do you want me to read your messages? Because
yes,
people
Livia,
watching on.
Livia sent a message saying they can't use the mic. So in the Zoom chat for those who are reading.
Okay.
So
How
are they
about
saying, first of all, severity?
how about I just share the comment from before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just this, Livia, or is there? Oh, but now I can't see the chat.
So context, before the change, any attempt to launch extensionless ESM file within module scope throws error unknown file extension. After the change, it works. From my understanding, this is some very minor. Can you clarify what change you mean? Yeah, the change in the PR. In your PR? Okay. Change in Livia's PR. We support extensionless ESM files inside module scope.
Okay, and it's so on that regard, is the Semversiness being Semver minor up for discussion, or is it a point of contention or not?
It's not a point of contention. I think it's more like, does anyone disagree with this? Like, does anyone
No,
feel like this should be Semver major?
If it's flagged, it's minor. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Well, her or Livia's their PR isn't flagged.
I think
So I think that's the question.
Which PR, like, I think it's a bit confusing here. Be sure, which PR are we talking about?
49531.
That's what I thought, but doesn't that have a flag?
Yeah, it doesn't, but yeah, okay. But in the text, in the description of the PR, is written that it has Semver minor with experimental extensionless flag.
Well, I think the only question for severity is just whether the unflagged one would be Semver major. Because I don't think there's any question that Semver minor isn't a concern. Or I mean that flagged is a concern. So would anyone object to this landing unflagged if it were Semver minor?
I guess it's.
Go ahead, mate. No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's still experimental, like doc experimental.
I mean, it's just a regular import. It would be hard to make that distinction in the docs.
Okay, so it's adding something new.
I mean, we could, I guess. We have that for like import of WASM. We would have to like create a new section in the doc for like import of extensionless files or something like that, and note that it was experimental. But
I mostly ask because the flag says experimental, right? So the discussion is also whether it's non-experimental or not, right?
Well, my feedback on that PR was that I don't think we should like land this directly as unflagged, that it needs to have some period of time under an experimental flag. But that also, I didn't think that like import of extensionless files only in a module scope felt too limited. That like it's because most people want to run extensionless files outside of a package scope. So having the flag that only does this one little thing would ultimately, what I wrote was that it would ultimately be more frustrating than helpful, that people would just start complaining to us that like, why doesn't this work where I want it to work? And so I asked
So
for
this is
the bigger flag.
only if, so these work only if you are in a package JSON file with type module.
Yeah.
Currently, it works to have extension on layers file outside of type module, but it's parsed as CommonJS. So yeah, what's the reason to flag it? Is the question Olivia's asking in the comment. Maybe Geoffrey, you want to
The
answer?
request to flag is not about semverness. The request to flag is that I don't think we should ship this change before we allow ESM extensionless files everywhere. We can't do that without being flagged.
It's about stability, right?
Yeah. Like it's potentially disruptive. There's MPX scripts, spin scripts, things like that, that it's like, that's why I asked for a flag in general, that like, this is, to me, it feels like a little too risky to just land directly unflagged. And if we're gonna flag it, do the bigger flag.
Can you clarify what you're afraid would happen? Because I mean, it wouldn't change anything.
We just
to
about never
NPX.
land any flags with module stuff unflagged. Like I think we should land, as I wrote in the thing, I think we should land support for extensionless files everywhere at once and flagged, because there are so many different ways people run extensionless files through MPX, through NPM scripts, spin folders, other package managers, shebang files, etc. That I'm sure we haven't thought of all the different ways that these get launched. And so having a flag first will hopefully uncover issues before, you know, everybody starts using them. It's that'd be the same reason we put a flag on anything. I think Livia is trying to get us to focus on the Semver question. I mean, does anyone see specifically? So what I had proposed in the PR that I put up about the big flag was that ship that, get that out there. That is the flag for extensions files everywhere. And then the thing that Livia wants to land just can land as unflagged once the first PR has been out for a little while and we don't have any issues. Even that, which I proposed, would have a problem if anyone thinks that extensionless files in a module scope would be a Semver major change. So assuming that the flag already exists for extensionless files everywhere, would there be a Semver question about extensionless files in a module scope? Or a Semver major objection, I guess.
If no, okay, so my 2 cents on this one, and then maybe others please intervene. Okay, my 2 cents is that we are a few weeks out from making 20 LTS, and I don't think this change should land in 20. Okay, in unflagged. Okay, just to be clear, I think it's minor. Okay, but we should make 20 more stable, not less stable to some extent. Okay, and 20 has been very rocky so far. I don't know if you have been in the trenches, but it's been very, very rocky in terms of stability from my point of view. Okay, the first stable release of 20 was for 20.7 for me that I could actually run. So consider that. Okay. So I would prefer not to land it on 20 for this specific reason. I have no other concern on making it like it seems. If we are sure that it's not going to break anybody, okay, I think it's okay for me to land as a minor in the 21 cycle and then decide what to do. It doesn't seem breaking for me. Okay, like this just adds something. So I would not even, put this as a breaking change, minus the fact that if we think it doesn't work, we flip it back in 22. So.
I agree with Matteo that I don't think it's going to break anyone. And yeah, it should be some very minor for this reason.
Yeah, but again, I prefer not to land in like big parted in the future, like when we are sure. Okay, like it's postpone it on the 20 side. Like it seems, it's I don't see why this would be problematic. Yeah.
But with postponing, do you mean that we should land it on 21 and then later backport it to 20? Because just postponing it doesn't actually do anything.
Well, it's I would not land it on 20 unless we are pretty sure that I would, if we land something like that on 20, it will need to be with all the massive flag for ESM and maybe under that. Okay, so I'm not, that's I'm basically saying it's this. I don't see a problem in landing it on 21. For 20, it will be, I think it should be flagged or something like that. But
well, we already have the PR open to land this on 20 flagged. So
Yes.
So yeah, that's there is that. Okay, like again, it's if we want to put it flagged on 20, yes, but not on flagged because it's already too much, to be honest.
okay, so then I mean that's one approach we could do. I mean the flag has 2 approvals, so and no objections. So I'm hoping it could land soon. So then the question, I think, Livia, then we could probably assume that the experimental type flag PR is going to land, just for the sake of simplifying the number of options we need to consider. So then once that lands, I suggested in that PR of just waiting a release or 2 with that out there to see if there are any issues that people report. And then if there aren't any or they're all minor, then we can unblock the PRs. I mean, you rebased and so on, but like the stuff that you wanted to land, the support for extensionless imports in a module scope, I think can then just land not requiring a flag. So the flag would still exist, it would still govern everything else that flag does. But the behaviors from the blocked PRs could then just land, I guess, only on the 21 line, at least at first. How do you feel about that? Livia writes, some comment has objections to flag that includes extensions. Is that this comment that I'm guessing that you're referring to? If these objections will not be solved, this would be a block for 49869. That's this one. Okay. What do you mean by if they will not be solved? Is there, if we do the path that I just suggested, would these objections still exist? Antoine asks if Livia is a -1 on this PR. Livy writes, these are problems that happen if we land 49869 with extension to CSM. On current implementation, I'm -1. All right, well, so this list is what you're talking about. My take on this list is that this seems to be just complaints about that it's flagged. Like, it won't work properly in module scope by default, blah, 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 as in like you have to use the flag. Well, yeah, that's the point. It won't be usable in any published projects because the flag stops under node modules directory. Well, yeah, but the module scope thing would not have to. So when the module scope version lands, that would not be a problem. It will gatekeep support for any non-ESM extensions files, only WASM for the moment under ESM flag. I mean, there are not any other formats we're even considering at the moment. The plan was that we was discussed in the other issues was that any future extensions file types would need to be disambiguatable in the same way as WASM, where they have some kind of header where it makes it clear that there's no ambiguity that they're that format.
Hopefully the C39 does not come up with another JavaScript format that's not possible to disambiguate. I'm sorry, I had to do this.
Yeah. After being extracted or after the default flip, it will introduce unnecessary breaking change to scripts that can work only in this mode. I don't know what that means exactly. It will indirectly block any further additions to type flag for the same reason why we can't overload input type. Users who just need extension scripts will get a bunch of unwanted side effects. I mean, if there is a use case for having extensionless scripts without flipping all the defaults to ESM, then we would have to create a new flag for that, and that would be a permanent flag. I think the idea behind experimental type is that, you know, it would be like it would land and then presumably become the new default. So the flag would be used to opt into the old default in probably 22. You know, no one's ever even proposed a flag to control just extensionless files before, because like the predominant use case is shebang scripts where you often can't pass flags depending on what platform you're on. Olivia, right?
To be honest, I don't really see the point of the flag. In this sense, it's probably, you know, it's because of that. Okay, so maybe we just ship as extension unflagged, and that's it. Like again,
well, that's what I was proposing. I was just suggesting that we wait a few weeks because it's already going to ship behind this flag. So this way we, you know if there are any issues with it, and then yeah, let's ship it unflagged. I don't think it's not gonna. I don't think it should wait until 22 or something. Which
sorry,
PR?
The PRs, the one mentioned, if we target Semver major without the flag, can land, and it can land in 21, and we are good.
If it lands within a week, like Raphael said.
Yeah, or Semver minor, and we just tag it as don't land, and then it can land on 21 when it's ready. So it can land.
I mean,
on
I think if you don't want it to land on 20, I don't think it makes much difference whether it lands on 20.00 or 20.1, especially since we think it's minor.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's for me, that's my only concern is please don't make 20 even more. Like it's 1 week, a few weeks out of LTS. So let's try to.
Do we all agree with that? So if so, I can just add the label don't land on 18 and 20, and that should be enough.
Yeah, we can always remove the label later if we want to reconsider, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to keep it off
safe.
of 20 indefinitely, but
yeah,
I mean,
me neither. But at
least for a few weeks, sure.
Let's revise if I just want to see first if there are problems with it without destroying the now very soon LTS release. Okay, and that's going to be necessary for a few people. So yeah, I think
something that's not very clear to me is, are we maybe talking about two different things? Extensionless within a module scope and extensionless with no scope at all. Like it feels to me that it's two different conversations, and maybe there's something I'm not getting.
Well, and there's yet another thing too, is the support for extensionless WASM files. That was the reason I wanted the big PR with the experimental type flag to land first, because I wasn't sure that we could land that WASM thing, like the check for the magic bytes and so on. Like I feel like there was some question about whether anyone was going to reject that. And if people did, then I wouldn't want to land unflagged that extensionless parses of JavaScript, and then like bam, we've just like foreclosed the option of ever supporting extensionless files and files. I wanted to like, keep the option open of like, well, before we close off that possibility, then we need to find some other solution if it's not going to be Magic Bytes. It seems like that Magic Bytes thing will land unless somebody blocks, the experimental type PR, in which case then I don't have any concern. Like then, we can, I think we could probably land both of Livia's PRs at that point, the one about the extensionless JavaScript files in a module scope and extensionless WASM files in a module scope. But that was the other reason I wanted like a big PR with the flag to go first, to like just get it in there, make sure we have consensus, make sure we're not blocking future development along these lines.
I just want to recap your objection, Jeffrey. So basically, you want to land the big flagged PR first.
Yeah, and just let it be out there for a release or two before landing the other ones.
And Livia disagree with this approach, if I understand correctly?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I asked down here, that I think the question really is that regardless of whether the first PR lands, Livia wants the others two to land.
Is it correct that both your PR and Livia's PR have the same magic byte check?
It's from Livia's PR. I wrote that at the top.
Okay.
Like I just took the commits from like 3 of Livia's PRs and put them together and put a flag in front of them.
Right.
So Livia, you haven't blocked the experimental type flag PR. Are you intending to block it? You are intending to block it. Okay. What are your reasons for block? The post on the screen lists it mostly. I mean, then I guess we're at an impasse. If Livia blocks this one so that it can't land, and I'm blocking the other one because I think the unflagged thing should have a few releases flagged first, then that's a stalemate.
Maybe we can still find a common ground on. So there are things on your PR that takes work from Livia's PR, so maybe that can land even if nothing is using it. And then we can have smaller PRs to review and to decide which one we want to go with. Because I think it's two big PRs, so it's hard to review. So maybe if we find what's in common between the two, and we land that as dead code for now, then it will be easier if the TSC has to take a vote to decide. Would that work?
I don't know what we would split up necessarily. I really don't want to create a whole bunch of little flags. I feel like that's really bad for UX.
Is the fundamental issue that it's flagged or not flagged between the two? I think as I understood, Jeffrey, you took a number of the other PRs, pulled them in, and then put them behind a flag. Is it more than that?
The flag does additional things besides just extensionless files in a module scope. It's several additional things. I think that's what Livia is referring to here, in that like this flag controls other things. So somebody might want to do just extensionless files in a module scope without, affecting other things.
So if we land it, if we land this in 21 without a flag, is there any disagreement. Like if this behavior is landed in 21 without the flag, even if it's just a PR to remove the flag, to move it out of from the new type ESM flag, type module flag, is it something that both of you have agreement on?
I would still be, I mean, I guess 21 is, I wouldn't block that, no, because 21 is kind of tended to be unstable, but like,
Yeah.
I do think it's risky to just land that without having any lifetime as under an experimental flag.
It's not really, my point is that it's not really testable. Okay, like if apart from I'm testing it locally, it works, and then I'm not using it anymore, type of thing. Okay, because of the nature of the flag itself, of the content itself. That's my overall point. It's very tricky with features that are supposed to be used without flags to be tested with a flag. And this is my, but yeah.
Well, you can also import an extensions file. It's not just running it as a shebang file.
Oh,
So you can.
Yeah, but sorry, I don't know if you're talking about WebAssembly here, but I don't see why you would like to import WebAssembly without an extension.
I can't really explain that one. That comes from Bradley and Guy from long ago. There was briefly a type WASM that landed and got reverted. But it's been a long, like if you read all the history of this issue about extensionless files, there's been a long history of like, oh, we want to make sure we allow extensionless WASM files. I think the idea was that people wanted to put extensionless WASM files in a node module/bin folder and be able to run them the way you have common.js files in a node module/bin folder.
Yeah, but that works because you have a shebang for JavaScript. Or if you don't, that works because npm creates a wrapper script that will run it. But for WebAssembly, I don't see how that can work.
I'm not a WebAssembly expert. I'm just kind of going from, this was such a strong concern for so many years that it's like blocked. I mean, this is the reason we don't have import of extensions files right now, was on, years long blocking concerns of wanting to be able to achieve this. And we can achieve it. So it's sort of like, why not? I mean, that part is still gated behind the experimental WASM modules flag. So it's sort of like, if we decide we don't want, if there is no reason to have extensionless WASM files, we can just remove that bit even after the experimental type is no longer needed or whatever, because it's already separated.
I think it's nice if we don't close the door to extensionless WASM support, even if we don't see how it could work. Because if it does work and we make it not working because of a design decision, it's not great. That's my 2 cents.
I agree we should not close the door, but we don't have to implement it right now.
Yeah. True.
Well, yeah, we do, is the problem, is that if there's a rejection to the magic bytes approach, we don't have any other ideas for how to support extensionless WASM. So you kind of have to land that, but when you
I don't think
land support for
I've heard anyone
JavaScript.
objecting to the magic bytes check.
Well, people on this call just objected to extensionless WASM in general. So
I haven't heard that.
I mean, if there's no objection, then let's land the magic bytes check. And then if we want to stop supporting extensionless WASM, we always can. anything related to WASM can change. It's under an experimental flag. So but I'd rather get that in there first before we support extensionless JavaScript, just so that we don't get foreclosed on the ability to support extensionless WASM.
Sounds good to me. So do we have a path to move forward?
Well, no, apparently, I mean, Livia hasn't put a block on the other PR, but they're saying that they will. So,
I think
you
we
know,
just established that we could have a small PR that adds extensionless WASM support, and that would basically unblock everything.
Oh, I think we could stick this conversation for one more week. So at least I might have time to read the whole context and provide an input as well, and I think other people as well.
I'm trying to land this flag with 21.00. That's why I opened the issues about the design for it weeks ago and brought it up to the TSC several times. I only have a week left to get this landed.
Well,
I have 2 approvals on it and no objections until, I guess, a few minutes ago. I was planning on landing it as soon as PCI passed. So, you know, I wanted to get this in
on 21, right? 21.
Well, it would be a major feature to announce as part of 21's release.
Yeah.
And because we really want to start getting people using it and getting feedback, it's kind of important that it gets as much publicity as it can, and we're not going to really get another chance until 22, especially if we're going to consider making ESM the default in 22. It's important to make a big splash in 21 to get people starting to use it. Olivia says, I'm fine with landing 49869 ASAP after removal of extensionless part from it. What can you be more specific about extensionless part? What specifically would need to be removed from the?
If I understand correctly, Livia is proposing we land in 21 in 21. We enable extensionless files, okay, under module scope, and the rest is under a flag. That's what she's proposing, if I understand correctly. Yeah. Okay. So are you okay in having the flag, having both behavior potentially backported to 20, both behind the flag? This is sure. Okay.
Olivia says yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I am.
I'm okay with. So then, Olivia, how about this? I will just land the type flag PR as soon as I can get it to land. I can split it up. I can then make a follow-up where just the extensionless files within module scope bits just work without needing you to pass the flag first. And so that can come, or if you want to do it, you're welcome to. But I would say land the flag PR first, just because like that's the one that incorporates the code from the several PRs floating around. So then it should be easy to split out the other one. And then that follow-up that makes that part of it unflagged I guess we can mark it as don't backport to 20, and then that can just land. And that'll go out at 2100 as well, unless anyone objects to that. Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Livy, does that work for you? So the plan would be this flag, this PR lands ASAP, like today or tomorrow, hopefully. Then I can create another PR that takes the extension list and module scope parts and makes those doable without needing a flag. And then that can just land as soon as people approve it and it gets through CI. So they'll both be part of 2100, assuming they can both land before the deadline. Why? Because I thought your objection was you don't want there to be any period of time at all where the extensionless support needs to be under a flag. And I'm saying I can be okay with that for under 2100. You don't see the benefits from this approach. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to give you what you're asking for.
Okay. So the benefit for this approach, Livia, is that we can backport the full scope of the changes in 20. Okay. And when we want it and so on and so forth. So that we'll essentially reduce the effort in maintenance generically, okay, and provide more people more way for testing and providing feedback on this feature. Okay, that's the only bits that allow us to do the backport. Something that the TSC can decide is both this new flag and the extensionless behavior are not being backported to 20 or kick that down the road. Okay, and in that case, we can table that discussion for later. Okay, which also makes sense. Okay, I'm not saying I don't want to be. Also, can make sense to not backport that flag at all in 20. Okay.
Livia says, if extensionless ESM goes to 20 under type flag, but it gets immediately unflagged in 21, it would create inconsistency, if I understand it correctly.
Well,
I mean, there's always inconsistency that new features are in newer versions of Node. So, yeah. I mean, there are multiple objections to landing unflagged support for extensionless files in 20.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think that's just a non-starter. We can avoid inconsistency if we land it separately. I don't know what that means. I mean, that's the proposal. If you look at what I just said and what Matteo wrote down in the notes.
No, I didn't do the note. Sorry, I was focusing on responding to.
Or sorry,
issue.
what Michael wrote in the notes.
I have a very hard time in writing and talking at the same time. So if I take minutes, I'm very hard time in expressing.
It's I can. This is what Michael wrote.
Yeah, I was just trying to summarize my understanding. It's like this with the flag, it lets everything land in 20 because it can be backported and because there's no objections to the extensionless part being under a flag, but there is an objection to being not under a flag, at least initially. So this would let the full PR be backported, which is good. It also then gets it unflagged into 21, which seems to thread the needle of, trying to do both things. If those objections were later resolved, potentially that could be backported to 20 as well by moving them outside the flag. But I guess otherwise it's like maybe nothing makes it into 21, the initial version of 21, right? So this seems like a compromise that lets things get into the right places.
The inconsistent, Livy writes, the inconsistency is simply breaking for users who will migrate from 20 to 21. I don't understand what that means. Users in 20 would need to use a flag, and in 21 they wouldn't. I mean, that's the inconsistency. Livia writes, because the scripts written for 20 would assume the flag effects.
The flag would still have effect on 21, right?
Yes.
The flag would exist in both places.
Yeah, that's the.
I think, Livia, this is the best we can do. Like, if there's objections to backporting the unflagged extensionless behaviors to 20, then either it's only in 21 or it's nowhere.
To be honest, I don't think it's like, maybe in the future, I would say, Geoffrey, but definitely not 1 week before LTS. Okay. So
yeah, I do think it can be backported to 20. But sure, if you want to wait a month or two, I think that's fine.
I'm just saying, if we want it to be part of 20, we could potentially in the future. But as it is right now, I have a lot of concern in marking it 20 LTS as is. Okay.
I also don't really know what use cases it enables. Like, if it all the use cases for extensionless files that I'm aware of are like shebang scripts and loose files, not files inside a package scope, files under node modules. I mean, maybe the node modules bin case, I suppose.
Probably,
but it's minor, you know.
Maybe we should close the subject because we're almost at time.
Yeah.
And try to resolve things asynchronously.
And well, I was looking here, Jeffrey, we still can discuss if needed in the next TSC and land it on 21.
I want to propose two things. Okay, first, I think we can all agree on landing the type PSM flag in for 21 and landing extensionless things in 21. The extensionless things, imports and so on in 21. Okay, I think we can all agree on those two things. I would say.
In other words, what's written here?
Sorry, I am.
Yeah, what I pasted here.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is my, and then table the discussion of backporting what to another meeting. Benjamin?
No, I just wanted to say I agree.
Okay. This seems to be. Do you have any concerns in having the flag and the extensionless PRs landed in 21, Livia?
Sure, I can open that this week. I mean, assuming the first one can land, but
yeah, okay, perfect, good. I think we have resolved the.
For the videos, Livia wrote, if it's followed up immediately with unflagged version, it's fine.
Yeah, that's the plan is to have both in so that we can have them in 21. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Should we talk about the next item on the agenda?
Can I ask one last thing, but I'm not going to start a whole thread about it, is that there was one kind of last minute objection. Guy suggested a different name for the flag. I would rather not rename the flag at this point. It's been discussed for weeks, but there's this thread. If whoops. If people want to look at it, I think it's just more one of those things that what makes most sense to most people type of questions, because I think there's no right answer here. So if people feel strongly about it, we can like vote in GitHub or something and just go with what people pick. But
if Guy is a strong,
he's not. No, he already approved the PR. He's fine
if he
with.
approved the PR, then it's fine. I'm not. I won't change it.
But he did mention on the PR he wants a resolution of this question. But he's not going to block it based on it not getting his preferred name.
So please,
just as I would be the same. So it's sort of
I would recommend we kick it down the.
If you could all go click on that link, and if you guys have opinions, maybe we can get a consensus. That's it. All right. Well, thank you, Olivia. If you want to review that PR, we appreciate any notes you have for it, and I'm happy to get it landed, and I'll split out the extension and stuff.
Folks, we are at time, and there was other stuff in the link and private things and private items. Is any of that urgent?
One of them is.
One of your is, so I would say
private?
that it's, I think so. Livia, if you can leave us, we need to discuss something private. Everybody stay on. We talk about the stuff for Agis. At least I can stay on if you want. And thank you, Livia, very much for joining us. Bye-bye, Livia. Okay. And I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you all for watching. This went a long conversation. Okay. And it's going to, that took the full time. Okay. Perfect. Bye-bye, folks.